Welcome. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the lab. Happy Sunday to you. One day closer to the trial of Trezell, Jacqueline and Trezell, I believe. Hopefully, there will be justice for those boys. Also, one day closer to Spackle Me Spackleton. I am not. Am I late? I might be a little late. I might be a little late, but, you know, never claim to be perfect. But, you know, I try to be as close to on time as possible. I'm better than a lot. I know that. I know I'm better than a lot of them. Not all, but, you know, I'm better than some. You know what I mean? Jelly Bean, good to see you. Good to be here. Oh, man. Is that Macho or Otis? It's still Otis. I have a Macho one that I'm going to put up, and that should, you know, be entertaining at best. He's just a little fatter is all. Better late than never. Never late is better is what I say. However, I was late. Just a little, though. Oh, my goodness. Cherry and Max is here. Man, you guys are great. Man, how is everybody doing tonight? Sunday night. Dodgers lost yesterday. That's all that matters when it comes to frivolous stuff. I told McDonough his Padres, I'd love them forever. I'd love them forever if they beat the Dodgers, and they did. So now I have to keep my word, and I have to love them forever. Also, great show by The Interview Room. It's funny when I enjoy it when he snaps at some of the trolls because, you know, that's what they're doing. And it's not even snapping, just kind of putting them in their place. Like, yeah, back in your cave, yeah. That's what he does. Yeah, I know, Vols won. I remember. Yeah, that's what he does. Puts him right back in. Yeah, oh boy. I need a McDonough sound drop, but you know what I mean. It seems like everybody that's here is a member. It's pretty amazing. Let me see. All right. Oh, and like I said, one more day closer to the release of Don Wells. It's just, you know, God knows what's going to happen there. And I have a show ready for that. I'll probably do it tomorrow, but it's frustrating at best what's going on in the Summer Wells case. So we'll, oh God, it's so funny, man. It is just so funny. It's one of my favorites. Wink at me, a member for 8 months. What's up? Good to see you. Good to be here, everybody. All right. Well, let's get into the topic at hand. It's been somewhat of a quiet weekend on the Quintin Simon front. Leilani's out there. A little bit. Good to see you. How you doing today? And everybody, not everybody, but most people are outraged, going, why? Why is she not arrested? Why? If she's their prime suspect and they have evidence that this little boy is dead and in a landfill somewhere, why? That's the question. It's a good question. It's a good question, but there's a lot more to it than that. You can't just lock somebody up, you know. I get it. It's infuriating. It is infuriating. I'm telling you right now, she will not be in custody until there's a body found. They will not arrest her. They won't charge her with anything either. They want the body. They want cause of death. They want every little piece of information that they can get. Why start the clock now? There's no reason. There's no reason. Justice is coming, but they want to find that little boy's body in a major way. And that is the holdup. And I'm telling you, I don't even think that if they have found him, they probably wait till tomorrow to tell us. They're going to wait till tomorrow. If they've found him. I mean, we're talking about a little tiny boy. A little tiny baby in a landfill. Or if that's where they think that he is and that's where they're searching, that takes some time. It's the needle in the haystack scenario, and I hate to break it down to such a simplistic level because it is not a needle nor a haystack. It's a little boy, possibly in a landfill. That, to me, is just ridiculous to even think about. It's nuts. Who would do that? Who would tell that, and everybody said, well, she told her mom. Well, she could have been lying to her mom. She could very well have been lying to her mother. And, I don't know if she is or she isn't. I think that she is lying to her because what did she say? What did she say? She said that she doesn't remember. Well, that's a lie. Let me see here. Doesn't remember. I mean, does anybody believe that one? I certainly don't. Can I be on panel with you sometime? Yeah, we can. We should do an open panel at some point. Definitely. Those are always fun. Sometimes. And then sometimes they go horribly wrong too. But yeah, I don't see why not. Red D says, after some thought, I think the grandmother will be in trouble too. Once again, we'll find out. And it's possible. It's possible she's in trouble. There's a lot of blame to go around in this case. There's no doubt about it. And now we have a boyfriend or an ex-boyfriend coming out, giving interviews saying that, there were bruises on the kids and she did this and she did that and she did this and did that. And my question is, where the hell were all these people before the little boy went missing? It seems as though in every major case, the kid doesn't just go missing. There is something that leads up to this. There are things in the past that people just let slip through. I mean, if you look at Nicholas Cruz, that kid could have been arrested 40 times. I think he might have even been on the FBI's radar. This mother was on the radar of law enforcement, of the court. She didn't even have her children. She wasn't the one that was in charge of the children. And so, once again, we look at all these cases and these failures of of the parents, the grandparents, the babysitter, but I don't want to look. And here's the thing, and I'll say this, and this is how I feel. You can feel however you want. Do I think that the grandmother and other people involved have some responsibility in this case? I do. But I am not going to lump them in if they're not proven to be a child killer. I'm not going to lump them in with a child killer. Not until there's evidence to show that that's what happened. I won't do it. There are failures to report, failures to protect children, and God knows that that's bad enough. God knows that that's bad enough, and they will pay for those, and they'll have to suffer. They'll have to suffer with those consequences for the rest of their lives. That's their cross to bear. But there's a large leap from going from somebody who's not reporting or whatever to a child killer. It is one hell of a leap, folks. It is one hell of a leap, and I'm not going to do it. I know that there's people out there calling for blood. Hindsight is 2020. And yes, those children were failed by a lot of people, it seems like. And K. Mitch wants to know, so why did the grandmother leave him alone with the mother? Well, I don't know what the court documents say, if she was allowed to or if she wasn't allowed to, but that's not what killed the boy. It may have been one of the circumstances that led to it, but there's somebody that's actually got to do it. And that's terrible in itself. That's terrible in itself. She said that she couldn't trust her. She said she didn't know if she could trust her. At some point, you would think that the plan would be that this 22-year-old girl is going to get her kids back. That's what you would at least think, right? You might think that. That would be the goal at some point. She's 22. Now, what happens now, and I've been covering this case since it started, and what's going to happen now is the hindsight, the slow drip of information, the bruises, the mistreatment, the possible, there's a report now that she may have tried to commit suicide at some point, or sorry, maybe I shouldn't say that out loud, but I did, so sorry about that. Tried to OD with her kids nearby. This is what the ex claims, and this is the kind of stuff that happens. It's a slow drip. Couldn't trust her, but left those babies with her. Well, look, once again, and I don't know what was going on inside of that house, but I will say this. Arkansas, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome. Long time no see. Although I did see you last show. Once again, it's really, really difficult. to imagine that your kid's ever going to do that. you know, um, you know, spanking a child or beating a child. I don't know if the mother knew that she was doing that. And if she did, she very well should never have left that child or those children alone with her. But it seems as though she was kind of trying to do everything that she could to try to take care of all of her family, including her kid who had major problems. And if you've ever had a child that's had any kind of problems in your life, maybe you can sympathize with that. The ending may not have been the same, obviously, but, folks, nobody thinks that their kid is going to do that to their child. Nobody. I just don't think so. I just don't think so. However, if she had direct evidence that she was beating on the boy, Leilani should have been in jail and not near the children. Matt, thank you for gifting 5 memberships, and Arkansas as well. Thank you for being here and subscribing. Who was? Did I miss somebody? I hate when I do that. I don't like that. Oh, let's see here. This is Josh. I think her kids have issues from when they were younger because of mom. I have no doubts about that. But once again, we are taking a large leap. We're not Nostradamus here. We're not predicting the future. So it is difficult, in hindsight to look back and go, maybe I shouldn't have done. How many times has anybody ever done something that they shouldn't have done? And then looking back, they go, I should have never done that. I'll never do that again. You want to have faith. You want to have trust. But yeah, why take the chance? Well, they were her kids. They were her kids. The mother had custody, but they were her kids. Who is going to think that she's going to do this? I wouldn't. As messed up as a child is, you don't think that they are going to do the unthinkable, that they may do bad things. Oh, were you drinking around the kids? Were you swearing around the kids? Were you fighting around the kids? All that stuff is bad. Nobody here thinks that any of that stuff is okay to do, because it's absolutely not. But that's a far cry from murder of a child. Does the grandma have culpability? Sure. I'm sure she probably has a good deal of it here. And I'm sure that, that will be looked into, but I find it damaging to lump all of these people together. It just doesn't seem right. So many people have failed this child. And there are levels to this. I don't know if you've ever heard that saying, but that is an absolute saying. There are levels to this. And no doubt that there absolutely are levels here. Everybody that was involved in this kid's life, that was around these children, if they saw something and said nothing, same thing. the same exact thing. Julie says, don't get it. My daughter has been trying for years to have children and parents are tossing them away like trash. Seriously disgusted. Like this song, Brenda's Got a Baby. It's not the first time and it's not the last time. And like I said, once again, and I hate to say it like this, but we just picked up on this case. We could go find other cases like this right now. They happen all the time. As terrible as that is, some just catch like wildfire, like this one did. When I first heard about this story and the first day that we talked about it, I had no idea that it would become as a big of a story as it did. I had no clue that that was going to happen, but sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Lulu says, the lab, I'm sorry, but CPS needs a major overhaul and some help. The same agency that took Billy Joe's kids away years later, the same agency awarded her grandkids. What? It's not that I don't agree, because I do. I absolutely do agree. Look, in life, in society, we have guardrails, safe rails against these kinds of things, safety nets. And we do have to realize that a lot of the time, the system does work. And when you focus on the times where the system doesn't work, and if that's all you champion, if that's all you talk about, of course we're going to be outraged. And that seems as though that's what we do. We look at the bad ones. We don't actually talk about the good ones. There are CPS workers that bust their ass every single day and are frustrated and sick and tired of not being able to get things done because they're restricted by overtime rules. They can only do what is permitted. But at the same exact time, you have to think of it this way. All we talk about is the bad ones. They absolutely are in need of major changes, in major overhauls. But if you think that that's going to, it may stop some. It may stop some. But people aren't going to stop hurting each other because of that. It might make it more difficult for some. But it's not going to change everything. It's just not. And I wish it would. But as a society, we can't, it's just not 100% success rate. I don't know what it is. I know that far too many children are hurt. They hurt, they get hurt. They're abused. They're this, they're that. And all of it is 100% tragic. No doubt about that. But we just focus on the bad. Nanny Du Bois says, what's your feelings about the babysitter? I believe that, like I said, I don't know these people, but from everything that I've heard, that she seems like a decent lady. But once again, if she hadn't if she knew that there were things going on in that house and only told the grandmother, then she has culpability in this as well. You know, when I remember when I started coaching basketball, the city puts you through this, it's like, I wouldn't call it sensitivity training, but you become this, you become a mandated reporter, and they tell you to look for signs of abuse in a child, like physical or, you know, whatever. And, they show you some old VHS of how to try to spot, you know, that kind of stuff. And I look, you know, all that's great, good programs, and some of it was very informative. Good. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. So then she did her job. Like, what else can she do? That's what I've heard. I've heard that she did. Barb says 33 at 3 babies at 22, different daddies, drug addiction, mental health problems, money issues. Who would have thought things would go wrong? Well, there's a difference between things going wrong and children getting thrown in landfills. You see, Barb, that's where it's different to me. Sure, things go wrong all the time in a lot of houses. They go wrong a lot of the times in a lot of houses, but we're talking leaps and bounds here. We're talking leaps and bounds. I'm not excusing the behavior. Of course, I think that it was wrong and a recipe for disaster, but there are a lot of disasters. There's a lot of disasters that go on. They don't all end up like this, is what I'm trying to say. Like, this is as extreme as it gets. Who could have seen this coming? Even with everything that we knew or know now, who could have seen this ending? Who? Not me. I wish I could see things like that coming. But if you're going to sit here and say, hey, like, with everything that I'm looking at right here on this paper, with everything that we know, that this would be the end result. I just don't, you know, I just, maybe I feel different. They're all a part of this child's life. But first and foremost, the babysitter can only do so much. First of all, she can babysit the child and report the things that were going on. And it sounds as though that she did those things. You know what I mean? It sounds like she did all those things. But once again, and Barb, and look, I'm not picking on you at all. I want to dovetail off of this point. 3 babies at 22, different daddies, drug addiction, mental health problems, and money issues. Do you think that these people are the only ones that have been in that circumstance? That this isn't a pretty common issue? I mean, you look around your town, you probably find a couple 22-year-olds, 23-year-olds, 20-year-olds with similar issues, but they don't all end like this. That's all I'm saying. Arkansas says, I can't even see it after the fact because my mind just can't comprehend someone harming their precious baby. Correct. Adoption is an option. There's no doubt. You know what? I don't know. I don't know anything about the doctors, but yes, doctors are mandated reporters too. So if they see that something's going on, yes. Right. But what risk, Jasmine? But what risk though? That's the thing. Yeah, there are risk factors, no doubt, no question. But what? I mean, yeah, we all think that somebody that has a drug problem and mental health problems and money issues all combined with, children that they can't take care of. But that's kind of a common thing. I mean, it just happens. It happens more than we'd like to admit. It happens more than we would like to admit. Barb, I agree with you. It is a risk, but like I said, what risk? Well, yeah, the children are in harm's way. The ultimate thing was, but who would say, oh, they're in so much danger that the mother's going to kill the child and then, supposedly discard of them. I don't know. Heidi Lamar says, I see multiple relationships, dads, steps, putting kids at high risk. Absolutely. There are a lot of risks that were going on here, unfortunately. But they're not going to arrest her yet. I would like if they did. Dude, one of my favorite drop buyers, like all the time, Ganja Farmer. What's up, dude? How are you? I never know when I'm going to see you again. You're like an enigma, but it is always nice to see you. As soon as you pop up, I see you, brother. Or sister. I don't know who you are. If it's going to happen, that is the recipe for it. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. We've seen mothers do the unthinkable that had it all together. Is the risk factor higher in this situation? Sure. Yeah, of course it is. But not necessarily. It's not necessarily true. One child is too many for a person with drug and mental issues. She had 3 under the age of 3. Look, I'm not here. I'm not here to judge her lifestyle or, whatever. The only thing that I have a major problem is if she's beating on these kids and then if she did indeed kill this child. That who she has kids with is not my business. Jan S. says they push to reunify. There's not enough good families to foster adopt. We should all seriously consider that. CPS needs good parents. If you cannot help, please do not condemn them. Janice, thank you so much, and I appreciate you saying that. And I can also see why people would be upset with the steps that were taken. But, CPS cannot just walk in and take those kids. I mean, it's got to go through a lot of stuff. A lot of steps. Summer Wells. Orson and Classic and Sear. Orrin and Orson. You mean, That's what I mean. It's tough. It's a tough thing, and I don't envy the people whose hands are tied and frustrated all the time about this. And trust me, they are. There are some really good CPS workers. I'm sure there's some really bad ones too. Just like I'm sure there's some really good doctors and some really bad doctors. There's some really good bus drivers, and then there's the kind of bus driver who you just get on the bus and then he drives you around most of the day. It doesn't take you to school and then drops you off. I'm not saying that happened to me. I'm just saying that would be a bad bus driver. That would be a terrible bus driver, actually. Actually, that would be an awesome bus driver, but he'd get fired fast. I can't remember. I heard somebody talk about their drunk bus driver. Like, obviously that's a terrible thing. But, which he ended up getting fired for. I think that happened in our district here. Nebraska Cornhuskers. What's going on? Yeah, no, and Cherry, you're so right. You're so right there because this was a recipe for disaster. Like I said, just the problem is we don't know what disaster, and we should never, ever, ever really take those chances. But like I said, I've thought about this case so much. I thought about this case so much. Barb, I was 22 with 2 children. I didn't have any drug addiction to battle, crippling postnatal depression. Terrible. It was so hard. So Quinton's mom had more to contend with than myself. Than myself. Lack of sleep. Well, look, and a lot of it does go back to how a lot of people were raised. I'm not going to say that. Look, it is a monkey see, monkey do world. It really is. And as unfortunate as that is, I'm sure that the grandmother would tell you that she's made some mistakes raising her children. But once again, who hasn't? I mean, I remember one time. Now this is a mistake. I'm going to tell you a mistake that I made because it was a mistake, and I regret it even to this day with my children. And they were playing baseball, and I was getting tired of them striking out. And I can't remember which one of them struck out. And I was coach like outside, and I walked in there and I said, "Look, I'm tired of you guys striking out. Hit the ball." Like, it was that simple. I was so mad for no good reason. And the next year they quit. So there you go. What are you going to do? Nobody's perfect. I regret that. I regret pushing them to do things that they didn't want to do. I have many regrets, but I didn't have a drug problem either. And things like that. So, I'm not going to say, I know that, Billy Joe had her own issues. They actually did cry, Melissa. They cried when I did it. I felt so bad. It was a good Christmas for him that year. I felt really, really bad. And then I realized that baseball wasn't for them when my son came up to me and said he wanted to be a switch pitcher, not a switch hitter, a switch pitcher. He wanted to pitch left-handed and right-handed. And that's when I said, I don't think baseball's his sport. I was right. Sharon H coming through with the heater right here, and I agree. It is a whole nother level. It is a whole nother level. Dad, I want to be a switch pitcher. What the hell's that? He goes, oh, it's when you pitch with your right hand and your left hand. I said, nobody does that. But I want to. No, you don't. Yeah, I do. And then I go, I remember that those poor kids probably were so nervous with me watching them because I remember there there was a hit. Peyton was playing center field and there was a hit right up the middle and very hard to center field. And he went down to like pick the ball up, like drop down to stop it. And it went through his legs. And I remember when it went through his legs, he fell or he laid down on the ground flat with his head in the dirt. And I was just sitting there like, wow. And he wouldn't even look up. And then I remember after the game, he was like, pfft. He didn't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. All right, me neither, actually. I didn't want to talk about it either. Josh, at least you didn't have to go to ballet and tap dance. That's child abuse. Nah. It's good for you. Yeah, I look, I just felt terrible. It was just stupid. The way my parenting was not great. It just wasn't, especially when it came to baseball. I'm sure that they were just nervous every time. If you were to ask them today, they'd probably be like, yeah, it sucked. I hated it. Why'd you make me do it? Blah, blah, blah. They're, 17, 18, soon to be 18, 19. And it's all water under the fridge. But at the same time, I regret it. I absolutely regret it. Cherry Max says, agreed with Jan, need good foster parents. I've done it and love it. My latest adoption, I was 55 years old. We can get the senior citizen discount and have kids' meals. That's cute. That's very cute. What up, Jody Sue? Good to see you. Who would have thought that this is where we would have been? I knew it was bad right away. I felt like it was bad right away. I think all of us felt that same way. I didn't have some superpower, but, when she lied to the cops immediately, we all knew that, as my grandma would say, something's rotten in Denmark. And I do not know what that saying means, but I like it. And I've never been to Denmark. Yeah, there's nothing like pushing your kids to do something they don't want to do. I remember I wanted Peyton was too old to play Little League, and Ronell had one more year to play Little League. And I wanted him to play because he was going to be the 12-year-old. It was the 10 to 12-year-old, and he took his lumps from 10 and 11 and rode the pine. And then he was going to be like an all-star and a starter and all this stuff. And I remember hey, and I wanted him to play so bad. And guess what? He told me no 7 ways to Sunday. And he stood his ground. And yes, I very well could have forced him to do it, but I remember going, who is this for? Who's this for? Is this for me or for him? He flat out told me, no, I don't want to. Why are you trying to make me? It wasn't good. Holly Golightly says, I say trouble is afoot at the Circle K. Circle K is fantastic. If the grandmother was a good person and she loved that baby, she would talk her daughter into telling the truth, but she didn't, and she isn't. We don't know what's going on. Rena, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes there. I mean, you would hope that this mother would have the decency. You know what? Okay, this is, Let's do a trigger warning here, and then I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Because I'm going to talk turkey here for a second, folks. Sometimes it needs to happen. If the mother, Leilani, did with the child, what people suspect. She wouldn't know exactly where that body is, the mother, Leilani. She wouldn't know where the body is if that child was put into a trash truck, a garbage truck. She would only know that he's at the landfill. She wouldn't know where exactly he was. And that's the harsh reality of it. And I hate that that's a conversation that we're having. But it's not like she can just walk them out there and say he's right here or he's right there. The J-Lo, the landfill came from the mother or the grandmother. And I know that it's tough to hear that kind of stuff. But like I said, it's not like she could just walk out to a wooded area and say, hey, I buried him here. No. That's not what's happening. Once again, I warn you, and I'm going to tell you, but who knows what kind of shape little Quinton's body is in. Is it intact? Is it not? I mean, there's just, who knows, man? It's sick. It's sick. Yeah, I do. I do feel that that's what happened. Absolutely. That was a thing from the very beginning. I don't know that. But yeah, I do. You know, these landfill things are it's just nuts. It's just nuts. She may have had a psychotic break. Very well could have. Very well could have. But I don't look. She. It sounds like she lied to the mother or her mother from the beginning as well. It sounds like she may have. I mean, but like I said, she's not going to know. No, none of them. Nobody's going to know. This is after the fact. I don't know how many days later and how many more routes of trash that were dumped into this landfill. I don't know. You know? I don't know. And the fact of the matter is, all of these things will in time come out. I do believe that they will find the child, and you know, the reason that they think that he's passed away is because I'm guessing that they found some sort of blood evidence somewhere. Somewhere. You know? It's not a hunch. They have evidence. Well, what evidence? Well, probably blood evidence. Probably cell phone evidence. But once again, they're probably filtering through a landfill. and they're not going to arrest her. As many times as you call the police department and say, you need to arrest her, they're not going to until they have what they need. Cherry Max, it depends on the, decomp as well. Cadaver dogs, blood. There's something major indicating that, first of all, a boy bleeding, if you think about this, a little boy that's bleeding and can't be found, or they found blood or something, or a cadaver dog hit. You can bet you could probably bet the farm, unfortunately. I thought that they said they had biological evidence to determine he's not alive. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Yeah, they had cadavers. Yep. Yep. Yeah, I'm sure that they have multiple pieces of evidence, and they're not gonna, like I said, they're not gonna divulge anything, and they shouldn't until. But like, I saw Dolly was outside waiting for her to get arrested. It's like, well, that's not gonna happen until they find the body. It's not gonna happen, and it may even take a couple weeks after that. There are things that she can be arrested for right now, and I'm hoping, and I hope, and I have faith that they have eyes on her, or they know where she is, or but that's a story that's a topic for a different day. I heard Ellie say that he was in the landfill, and told the grandmother. The mom did not say. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. You could be right. I have no clue. Luminol in the house. Yeah, I mean they blacked that whole house out. The crime probably took place, or whatever, the accident crime, I'm guessing it's a crime. Well, a cover-up is still a crime, but if it was a homicide, it probably took place. In the house. In the house. If he is in a landfill, God forbid, it could take a long time to find him, even though they can track what grid. Yeah, there's a lot of garbage there. Just the sheer disrespect of the kid, of this child's life, that we're talking about a freaking landfill. To me, discarding kids like trash, like that. If this is true, that this is her way to cover up her crime, is to throw a kid away. Like, that's nuts. Nerdy Girl T420 says, the sad thing is she probably could have called that babysitter at any time and she would have taken him. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with that as well. No shave, just a cut. I don't know. I don't know how big the landfill is. If it's for the whole county, it's probably huge. Like I think we have 2 dumps in our county, and it's a lot. And what you do is you drive in, you dump your trash, and then a bulldozer or whatever comes by and pushes it out. and so on and so forth. And it's an ongoing thing, day by day by day. And those things fill up fast. And if it was a weekend, like it sounds like the weekend hit, and it's just, that's a lot. I took a shower 3 days ago. I'm doing better. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, if there was such a thing in this case as insult to injury, the sheer disrespect of his life and body is really what boggles the mind. I say a lot of things don't surprise me anymore. Like, some things shock me. Like, I'm shocked at first, and then I'm like, well, I guess I'm not surprised. Like, this to me is shocking. It's surprising. It's shocking, surprising. It's even though even I mean, it's just so, it's such a far length to go to. It's just such a insane thought. It's senseless. It's nuts. It makes no sense at all. Mentally ill or not, miss me with that. I don't care if she was mentally ill. You don't do that. You don't, I mean, you just like, it's so, I remember, and I talk about this case all the time, Casey Anthony, when they found her, just, I don't know, half mile down the road, thrown off to the side. I mean, she literally had that kid in the trunk, picked her up, and I don't know if she tossed her, put her there, whatever. But she just tossed her away. And I like that, to me, somehow, some way, it's all bad. Still doesn't quite seem like throwing somebody in the trash, but I mean, it is discarding somebody like trash, no doubt. Neither is good, neither is better, neither is acceptable, but one feels just a little bit crazier. It's all crazy. Throwing somebody in the woods or in the trash, it's all nuts. You just don't. Yeah. Letitia, thrown on the side of the road. It's all the same. But for some reason, this feels a little more shocking. I don't know why it does. It just seems to. So this is a great piece of information. I just checked. It took 2 full months to find Lori hacking at the Salt Lake County landfill. Wasn't much left of her, and they sectioned off the area that the day's trash was dumped. Exactly. It's not an easy. This is not an easy recovery if that's what they're dealing with. Yeah, it really is, Rhonda. It's nuts. It's unfathomable. Yet it happens all the time. Unfathomable. There was a case I believe it was 2020. It was a South Carolina mother. She went on trial, and I don't know if the trial is still going or whatever. But she placed 2 of her newborns in trash bags and then, threw them away. They were just a year apart. Unfortunately, it happens. Like you go right here, it says, teen who left baby in New Mexico dumpster didn't know she was pregnant until the day before birth. None of this is new. February 2013, mom accused of killing son, throwing him in the trash can. None of this is new. It happens all the time. January 10th. She was on video doing it. She was on video doing it. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't have video for Leilani doing whatever she did. I don't know. Maybe they do. Love your channel, Summer Wells. G Crime, thank you so much for, 10 months. Appreciate you. I really do. There's no excuse what she did to this poor innocent child. People need to remember there were 3 kids there and she chose only to hurt one. Why? She is a momster. If you did that on purpose, I never heard that before. Casey Anthony. Exactly. I truly hope that they do have that evidence, man. I really hope this lady, Leilani, if and it sounds like she is their main suspect, that she is prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I mean, to me, this is a capital murder case with a capital C, and that sounded weird, but capital murder. That's what this is. Major capital murder. Premeditated at that. So on and so forth. And it seems you only have to get rid of the body, i.e. Morphew Wells. Now this one, how about the babe that kept the babe that kept her pregnancy a secret and then buried the baby, Annabelle, in the backyard? It's just crazy to me. It's crazy to me that those things happen. Nuts. But don't get your hopes up for an arrest right away. They want cause of death. They want a body. They want everything to start the clock. They want everything to start the clock. Then they'll do it. Because you have to prove it. And I mean, yeah, if she confessed, that would be really good. A little bit, if you say it, I believe it. Well, none of that would surprise me. Capital, it's basically a death penalty trial. It's like for the most heinous of heinous. Josh, they should arrest everyone in that home. Well, I'm sure that there's enough to go around. I just don't know. I hear they have special laws in England with new mothers. I don't know about any of that. Let's see here. Legal protections against redundancy to be extended by 6 months for new mothers. Oh, that's different. I don't know what that is. Breastfeeding in public place? I don't know. Oh, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Let me see here.
Hold on 1 second. Charlie's pool hall.
How are you?
Good.
Can you hear me well? I don't know how to do the second camera yet on here. I would send you the link. I'm on a different wave now. I don't know what that is.
I don't either.
Are we going crazy here?
Hang on for a minute. Charlie's pool hall. How are you? Am I live?
Yeah, you're live.
Awesome. I can't. You're not in sync. You're not in sync with what I'm watching.
No, and I think you got. I think did you turn it down?
Yeah, I just muted, but I can't hear anything else.
Okay.
I can just hear the phone.
Yeah.
You look like Grizzly Adams.
What's that?
You look like Grizzly Adams.
Do I? What is it? The beard?
Oh my gosh, you got the whole look going on.
Yeah.
You got the blue sheet and the Grizzly Adam look.
Yeah, I didn't wear my chain tonight either.
No, you look good.
Thanks.
Mr. T.
Hey, you had a great show, man. I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny when people wanted to ask you if you were a medical examiner or not.
Yeah, you've got to love America.
Well, you've looked at a couple of those in your time, right?
Yeah, I've been around a couple of things, you know.
So
yeah, go.
What do you think about this case, Chris? I don't know if you've seen much of it, but you know they're looking for this little boy. It seems like in a landfill, and people are outraged that the mom's not arrested yet. That's going to come after they find a body, correct?
Yeah. So in full disclosure, I don't know. I've been so busy with a couple other things that I don't know what the facts are yet in this situation. And I'm watching you on YouTube here to try to see if I'm keeping up with where the sequence of your movements. of your mouth, and it looks like a kung fu movie. So
don't look at the screen.
It's hysterical. So I don't know all the facts of the case. So just, as a disclaimer up front on that piece, but if they're searching at the landfill, they have other type of forensic evidence that is pointing them in that direction.
Right.
Probably from the house.
Right. And it seems as like that, they've named the mother the main suspect.
Okay.
And that supposedly, this is according to the grandmother, that the little boy is in the landfill and that she confessed to the mother but has no recollection of it. And they said, well, no, we haven't brought charges yet. We haven't brought charges, and we haven't made an arrest. And people are outraged about that because, she seems like she's very culpable of this entire crime. But they want to cause a death, correct? I mean, they want a body if they can find the body. And,
they probably have evidence in the house, obviously, that, points them, probably for blood evidence or something to that effect that points them in a direction that says, okay, where's the kid? And so now they're basically going through all their options in relationship to trash day and that kind of stuff.
Have you ever had a landfill case? Have you ever had a landfill case?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's common, isn't it? Unfortunately, it's sick though. It's really sick. But I mean, I was just looking online, and I mean, you can just see tons of them. It seems like it happens all the time.
Yeah, I mean, every case is, whenever there's a missing child, it's almost standard protocol to find out when, and what people aren't aware of, I mean, they are aware of it, maybe, but, those landfills are laid out in layers, right by geographical pickup. So, they keep very, very good records when, a truck comes in, they know where it came from, the area it came from, and then it's put into that landfill, specifically, when those pushers come in, those tractors and stuff, and they bury it. They're very well organized. So, you can get a date, a specific time, a day of the week, and then you can go down there and you say, okay, on this date, this time, where is this? And they've laid it out to where, okay, well, it's going to be, 20 feet down at this longitude, latitude, GPS coordinates, start digging. And then they start moving everything till you get to it. So you can go back quite a way, weeks anyway, at least a couple of weeks, and try to get information in relationship to, if somebody had dumped a body. A child's very difficult to find, though, in a landfill.
Yeah, exactly. And like I told the audience earlier, it's a trigger warning. You don't even know what kind of shape the body's in, and if it's even really intact,
Yeah,
it's just a terrible thought. I get it, but they're going to want to see what, if they can recover the young man and then do an autopsy on him and things like that. It would be nice if the mother would just confess and tell everybody what she did, but that's, obviously not going to happen because, she's a disturbed person. Well, I got you here, Chris. Were you surprised by the findings of the Kylie Rodney report?
No, I mean, I think on your show, what did I say a while ago? Well, we were going to wait.
Yeah, wait for the toxicology. It's going to be probably going to come back as an accident, and yeah.
Yeah, so let's see the next, let's see what the chippies say, and let's see what, if anything else comes of it. At this point, I talked to some doctors who are part of the Cold Case Foundation, or MEs. I mean, they're working MEs, and they read the reports. I sent it all over. I said, what say you? And that last slide I put up was what they said. There was a concurrence there.
So let me also, one more thing here I want to share with you, and I was going to talk about it on a different show.
Watching a kung fu movie because you're still behind here, so I'm waiting for the John Belushi on.
Yeah,
and start Samurai.
I definitely some days I feel more like him than other days. Let me see here. There's a really good, I wouldn't say really good. I can't remember who the creator was, but they asked what this, any new information on the Summer Wells case. And they basically, and Leslie Earhart of the TBI basically said, no, I have nothing to update you on. That's terrible news to me.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest indication, and we said it a while back, was the case agent who comes to work and he checks his dailies with Summer Wells and then gets into his case file.
Right. And,
so,
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, with Don out in Utah, there's a loophole in the statute of limitations in Utah. And so the statute of limitations in Utah basically reads that a case can be filed based on repressive memory. The legislators gave this loophole in the law in Utah for Mary and Jeannie case, right? The DA will have to prove that there's a repression of their memories were repressed as a result of something triggered those memories to come to the surface, and that it wasn't just a blind, we're going to point the finger at our stepbrother. And so in their case, as an example, because Tricia and Jeannie reached out in the very beginning and said, I want to report what happened to me because I was the same age as Summer. The DA can take that into consideration and see if the statute of limitations applies. Well, we know that the police took it into consideration because they completed a whole investigation where they had a total of, I believe, 7 women, 4 of them strong, that came in and said, hey, he did it to me too.
Right.
So we're waiting to hear from the DA, the final push, and if not her, then it will be the AG's office to review whether or not Don comes back to Utah. So that's where that case stands right now. And if I was the DA, personally, I would be sitting at Hawkins County and saying to Don, you know what? We know what you did. And it's time to either give up Summer or go back to Utah and go to prison.
Yeah, and I've told you before. Well, I don't know if I've told you this before, but on a conversation that I had with him, he's ratted on other people before. This wouldn't be the first time. It's not like he's against it or something, or copping a deal or whatever. For some reason, though, I think that they feel like they're quote unquote golden. You know, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not, but I just, you know, this case, you know, 16 months now. And once again, these cases do take a long time sometimes. I just hope that, my hope is that Hawkins County, if it is a cold case, will be forthcoming about it, because I don't think it does. I don't think it does any good to you know, keep that secret, because that just means that it's just it's just stale now, you know. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I mean, is that how agencies work? I mean, would they, if a case was cold, would they say, hey, we've exhausted all leads?
Yeah, that's how typically, when it gets to a place where they've run out of things to do and things to follow up on.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's not the case, but you know, and hopefully, you know, Jeannie and Mary do get some justice, because they deserve it, man. They just really, in a major way, you know,
he's definitely afraid to go back to Utah for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, he does not want to go into the Utah prison system.
Well, is it not? It's not federal, right?
No, it's state. It's in Draper, Utah.
Okay. Well, that'll tell you a little bit.
It's called the tip of the mountain.
I hope he goes.
And Jeannie did not have a baby with a 15-year-old boy. That's all. That is that information, like stuff like that, is just it's not real. But that's okay. I mean, that's what's floating around. I know Always LA doesn't necessarily mean that you know. There's a lot of people that say a lot of stuff on the internet. I mean, but it's not sometimes malicious. It's not done with malicious intent. It's just people, you know, make it up. You know what I mean? Or they throw it out there just to see what kind of reaction they get.
That's malicious to me.
Well, I you know, we'll see. But Don does not want to go back, man. You can bet your bones on that. He does not want to go back. So the thing about the AG's office, and if anybody's in Utah, call Sean Reyes at the AG's office and say, you know, look, you know, Weber County has Jeannie's case, and you know, they need to go hayaku, as they say in Hawaii. Hurry up, pick it up, because he's not, you know, he's still sitting in the clink over there in Tennessee. But when he gets out, he's going to think everything is hunky dory. But maybe there's other stuff coming down the pipeline with the CPS stuff. But
yeah, right. There's things that they could be in trouble for, man. There really is. I mean, I get, you know, wanting to solve the Summer case, and by all means, never give up on that. But there's other things that they could be held. Well, Don's being held accountable for something right now, but with those children, they didn't just get taken willy-nilly, man. They didn't just come in there and say, okay, well, Summer went missing, we're taking these kids. That's not what happened.
Yeah, I agree.
And Don's a liar when he said that they were worried about the safety of the kids because of strangers. They were worried about the safety of the kids because, you know, first they already had an open and active investigation, and then, you know, Summer goes missing. It seems like they were going to take those kids no matter what, right? At some point.
Yeah.
And to me that some sort of, I mean, they're in a house with, they're in a house with drug use, alcohol use, physical fighting, and I don't want to talk about the, essay and stuff, because none of that's proven or anything, but who knows if there's evidence of that with the CPS case. But it's illegal to do drugs around kids. It's illegal to neglect their doctor's appointments and shots. And I don't, like, once again, I don't know if that's the case, but it seemed as though they were living in filth as well. They'll take your kids for that.
CPS was involved long before YouTube.
Big time. Yeah. Yes. And that goes back to their first sets of children, to be honest.
Yeah. There were no parent awards issued here.
No, there's certainly not. And that's a fact. So how you been? I haven't talked to you much.
I've been staying low. I've been working.
I know you have. I know you've been busy.
Foundation. I'm headed to next month. I'm headed to North Dakota to do another class for, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and they're another room full of investigators. The ones that I'm not in training.
Yeah, those ones.
Yeah, those guys. The ones that I only had the commander of the homicide task force on my show as a guest. That guy.
And by the way, if you're here, head over to Rumble. The interview room's over on Rumble. He's got some really cool stuff over there. Go check that out. We do that stuff on different platforms. That way we don't get booted off this one.
Yeah, communal narcissism is a good one. That's nothing like people in space helmets.
That's my favorite. Oh, that's one of the funniest. Nothing. You're right.
It's almost entertaining now. It's been so long that.
Well, Chris,
they've been, they're doing this, right? But I don't mind if it just needs to. People just need to just take care of themselves. It's just they need to take care of each other.
I've always heard this, and I always thought that this was interesting, and this applies to the space helmet thing. Like if you drive a bus, you know what I mean, but you're not a bus driver, that's kind of weird. If you wear a space helmet, but you're not an astronaut, also weird.
Yeah, there's some good stuff over there. I've been assembling it. I've got a third part. I haven't put it up yet. I'm just waiting for the right time.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's coming. That's for sure. And Buddy's good?
Bud Joe is doing great. He's nutty as a fruitcake, and it's holiday season coming up.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of fruitcakes.
Thank you for asking. But, yeah, no, I was, and Billy's doing good. He's working a couple of things, and we've got some other stuff that's come up that is going to be really interesting. We're going to reveal it pretty soon on the D. Warner case.
Ooh. Okay.
So
God bless her, man. I mean,
yeah, it's another zinger.
Oh, I'm sure Dale will be delighted.
Oh, we're excited.
I was going to tell you, so I think I might have told you this, but I do now have a second dog.
I saw him.
His name's Macho, and he's 4 years old, and he's the biological father of Otis. I took him on the Maury Povich show, and we found that out. But no, it was my friend who was the breeder said he needed, he was going to rehome him because his place was just too small for the dogs that he had, and Macho was getting depressed. And dogs get depressed. I didn't really, I kind of knew that, but I'd never seen a depressed dog, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you what, he's been here a full week now. He ain't depressed.
I love it.
He runs the house. Him and Otis are literally partners in crime now. And
That's terrible.
I mean, and it is just the way that these two interact. But I'll tell you one thing, Otis has stopped chewing on stuff since he got here. And I don't know why, but he just doesn't do it anymore. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I mean,
he's got a buddy.
If only we could be like dogs.
Man, I know, but we could be like them, but dogs are just special, man. That's why I always ask about Buddy, and I'm so happy that like Otis can have somebody to play with. I really like he's so excited, and he watches everything that he does, and it's almost like they're just buddies, and but they both snore louder than I do.
Yeah,
and you've heard me snore, Chris.
Yeah, I did. I did. Yeah. And I'm not the same.
Never since you heard me snore, huh?
I love it.
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Do you want that question if cats had thumbs?
What's that?
Cat has thumbs. Says Josh, could you ask Chris if the cadaver dogs work accurately in a landfill?
Yes, that I was actually had that marked. Yes, can they hit in a landfill?
They can, but it's difficult.
Yeah, that's a great question. That really was a great question. Yeah, you'd be dealing with a lot of different elements, right? I mean, but they run them out there though, don't they? Still?
Yeah, they run them out there. Sometimes they'll put human remains out there to see how the dogs react. It all depends on the dog, right? I mean, these dogs get certified, and the handlers actually get human remains to keep with them.
So they can, so they can hit.
Yeah, so they can find it, and it's really interesting sometimes. But there's so many things out there in a landfill that make it difficult. So a lot of times it's a sifting operation. You just kind of get a geographical area, and then once you sift, then you can get the dog out there for the decomp.
Hey, real quick, did you hear about the serial killer, alleged serial killer that they arrested in Sacramento?
I read something about it.
So there was a man that was going around and because of like ballistics and stuff, they believed that it was the same person. It was like 8 people in the last year. He was just walking up at night and shooting people. And the hunt had been on once I think it was because there was a victim that did survive. And between that and then they had some images, he's wearing a hoodie and stuff. And they were hot on his trail. But, they just nabbed him the other day. Yeah, it was in Stockton, California. And hopefully that they got the right guy. But, yeah, it's another maniac out there just doing crazy stuff.
Is that Wesley Bromley?
Let me double check that. I believe it is. Yep, that's him.
Yeah, no. I got a buddy who is up in Seattle, the homicide team up there. In fact, I was just on the phone with him a couple of days ago. I'll ask him next time I talk to him.
Yeah, it's he's in the San Joaquin jail. They haven't set bail for him, but yeah, they believe that he is the serial killer, and they must have some evidence to corroborate that, but
maybe they found Captain Crunch in his pocket.
Better than corn dogs.
I don't know if you knew this, but when the cops went into Jeffrey Dahmer's house and they opened the fridge, they found a pizza with a bunch of noses on it. Do you know what kind of pizza it was?
No, I don't.
It was a Dahmer Noses pizza.
I'm guessing you didn't write that yourself.
2 shows, 3 and 11.
A Dahmer nose pizza.
A Dahmer Noses pizza.
Only guys in homicide joke like that, right?
I hope so.
That's a homicide. That's a homicide man through and through.
You gotta see the light things of things sometimes.
Oh
right?
Man,
But I'm
absolutely. They they just came out with that documentary that was shocking to say the least. It wasn't actually a documentary. It was a show based on the Dahmer's the serial killer this year. They're back, with him.
He was a sick puppy. I went to a symposium once where he gave a presentation, the case agent, and Dahmer was one interesting cat. He'd get his victims, he'd lure them in, and then he would do all these experiments with them, right? I mean, he was drilling people and then putting them in vats and then just all kinds of stuff. And he finally got to this place where, he realized, I'm running out of space.
Yeah.
And so he was an interesting cat, but, you certainly didn't want to ring his doorbell and say you were full of brush guy because you weren't going home.
I watched, so the man, Tracy Edwards, I believe is his name. He's the one that escaped and went and got cops and brought him back, to Dahmer's house. And I watched his trial testimony before, and it was heart wrenching because they asked him, where is Mr. Dahmer sitting? The judge asked him to point him out, right? And he looks at the judge, and you could hear and see him visibly and audibly go, and he wouldn't look, and he pointed just the other way. He said, he's over there, because he didn't even want to look at him. That's how difficult it was for him. And I just found out that guy, Tracy, is now in prison for murder as well. He got in a fight with a homeless man that he was homeless as well. So they were living in a homeless camp. And, it's just some of that testimony and that situation. It was just, it was like you said, not only was he was kind of one of a kind, nobody had really ever seen anything quite like that. But yeah, he was as sick as could be. And I think he knew that.
Did you ever hear of Charles Ning, NG?
No.
So he was up in your area actually in the early 80s. Look that puppy up. He's a sick puppy. And he was doing all kinds of crazy stuff up there in the Bay Area, in Calaveras County, actually.
When was that?
In the early 80s. And he's actually, I think he's still on death row in San Quentin. But he had a cabin up there. And this guy, was kidnapping, men, women, children, etc. But he was a serial living up there in the mountains.
Wow.
And he would take his victims up there and anyway, a guy from San Diego disappeared. and in I think it was 84 or in around that area.
Mm.
And Ning was connected to that up in the Bay Area there. You have to go look him up. He's another one. His crimes are 83 to 85, if I remember. I was in Vice at the time, and this was during all the, we had a lot of different things happening with, some of the girls, on the street.
Yeah.
So, Charlie was a strong prospect of, kidnapping girls up in the off of Polk Street up in the Bay Area, as well as, some of the Tenderloin districts in San Francisco. But then he would come down to LA, Hollywood Boulevard, work that area, and then he would come down into Oceanside, and he would work Oceanside, and then eventually into San Diego, and he was just trolling for victims all that time.
Right.
Which brings me up, if I can I mention a show that we're going to have?
You can mention anything you want.
Well, we're going to put together, I've got, a really cool show talking about the Metasphere coming up here. And I've got the, Dr. Simon, I've got Dr. Ann Burgess coming on, I've got Coop coming on, and I've got Gary Burdoff coming on, these guys are all, forensics, just amazing brains and minds. And of course, they're active in the law enforcement community, training as well as doing research. And we're going to talk about where the next phase of fantasy goes. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do it on this platform. We've got to do it over on Rumble, because I don't know what they're going to say. But I want them to have a free flow of information. And so, Anne is fascinating. She worked in the BAU, Coop worked in the BAU, and Gary and Larry are just amazing people. So we're going to talk about the fantasy realm within, what the Metasphere, right? Where, Zuckerberg is putting together this virtual reality, and the avatars that people can choose. Well, we're going to talk about the psychological impact on women within inside of these virtual worlds. Because had Ted Bundy had a virtual world to operate in, it would have been a training ground for what he eventually executed out on the street.
Yeah.
So I hope I lose you. Did I lose you?
No, I'm listening. I'm here.
So we're going to go into that. And it's going to be a free flow. I asked him, hey, I don't want to script anything out. I just want you guys to be able to do what you do. And I think it's going to be really interesting to hear that conversation, and it will be memorialized over there on Rumble. But unfortunately, we have to do it over there because I think they're going to say stuff that won't fit with the guidelines, and I don't want to jeopardize the free flow of it.
If that, and one thing that you can do, and we can talk about this too, is that after that airs, depending, you can run it through the YouTube checks after, and then put it up on your page. After it's recorded, yeah, you can. Yep. And then you just have YouTube, like, what they do is you submit it, you don't make it, it'll run its checks, and then it'll tell you if there's anything that would be a problem.
Okay, you got to teach me that, because I don't know.
Well, I got to teach you that, and I'm going to teach you how to put the chat on your screen too. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and then one day you can show me how to get 2 cameras on your new thing here, whatever you have going.
I don't even know how to do that yet, but I'm gonna figure it out. I promise.
Yeah, and I was just on a show with Ann. I can't tell you the name of the show, but she's a fascinating human being, and she's really one smart cookie.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So anyway,
well, I appreciate you calling, Chris.
Yeah, Josh, thanks. Jump in. It's great speaking with you, buddy. And what about them Padres?
Man, I was telling everybody at the beginning of the show, I forever love the Padres for bouncing the Dodgers out of there. Go Padres! I'm rooting for them all the way, man.
All right, buddy. Well, you have a great evening, and we'll talk to you in a bit, bud. Tell Linda I said hi.
I sure will. Thanks, Chris.
Okay, bud. See ya. Bye.
I hung up on him before he got to say bye, everybody. Let me see. Sorry, Chris. I just dumb. Oh, hey, let me show you how I appreciate you coming up here. Chris, so what do you got to say on the way out? Nothing. It's not nice. Well, that'll be the last time he ever comes on the show.
Oh, good. Oh, Lord.
Yeah, exactly.
Call. No.
You don't like that call.
I don't like that call. Not a very good call.
Blah. Sorry, Chris. I do feel bad about it. All right, you guys, thank you so much.
Hey now.
And you just
That's not a good call. No.
You don't like that call.
I don't like that call. Not a very good call.
Sorry. I really didn't mean to hang up that fast. I'm usually not that quick on the trigger. You're done whether you want to be or not. I said enough good things about your Padres, Christopher.
That's not a good call. No.
You don't like that call.
I don't like that call. Not a very good call.
It was a really good call, but at the very end, I just cut that thing way too short. He's about to say goodnight, everybody, and just... Man, we treat our guests better than that over here. Thanks again, Chris, for calling in. That's awesome. As always, good to talk to you. And I want to thank everybody else for being here. And thank you for the super chats and the super stickers, the memberships and the gifted memberships. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll do a show together real soon. I'll have them back over here. It was a great call. The best. Hey, hit that like button. I appreciate it. I know. It's getting bad. Yes, he does. Actually, one sec. I want to say something, and I'm ashamed that I forgot this. So hold your horses if you're still here. I want everybody to keep one of our beloved mods, Love Pink, in their thoughts and prayers. She's going through a really difficult time right now, and she needs positive energy and thoughts and prayers her way. Yeah, I'm not going to, discuss what happened, but please put some hearts in the chat for her. Let her know that she's loved and respected and appreciated and thought of. She's going through a really rough time, and I'm not going to say what, but I got to tell you, one of the first things she reached out to me very early on and said that, hey, I still want to be a mod for you. I got to take some time away. I'm having some problems. And the fact that like this was one of her first thoughts means a lot. And please take all the time that you need. We're praying for you and thinking about you every day. Love Pink, you mean so much to this channel. You are a big part of this channel. And I notice when you're not here. So you just hang in there. You hang in there. Thank you, guys.